Good afternoon and welcome to Athens City Council. It's Thursday, June 27th. It's 3:34 p.m. We're in a special session, and this is a meeting at an unusual time because we have 2 or 3 items of business to take care of before Council goes on their recess during the month of July. Our first item of business is establishing a quorum, and all members of Council are present. We have 2 ordinances for first reading. The first one is 7319, an ordinance amending Athens City Code Title I, General Provisions, Chapter 1.03, Codes and Fees Established, Solid Waste and Recycling Rates, and declaring an emergency. This is introduced by all members of Council. Is there someone who'd like to speak to this? I can say that this is part of the, what this is doing is working with the city, because the city and council members are interested in the composting program, which is run on a pilot basis for 6 months and then was extended for 6 months. And so what we're doing with this particular ordinance is adding a section in the code in the special hauls section to allow for 5-gallon buckets of compost at $20.65 per month. And this would allow the existing 299 persons who have subscribed to the compost pilot project to continue with it, and would also enable new persons who are interested in it to subscribe, and also gives us a time to work with Athens Hocking Recycling and Rural Action about the possibilities of extending the program, developing a long-term plan for it. Yes, Councilmember Crowell.
I would just say that I've only heard from residents who would like the composting program to continue, and even residents who have specifically said that they were happy, or if that's the right word, they were fine with paying a fee in order to continue the program.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Hall.
So are we looking at this particular ordinance, not the ordinance, but the new pilot project to go forward? How many months do you think that will be until we get something set up to have the opt-in so that we start getting more and more people? So, yeah.
Sure.
So you're asking me that question. Well, this basically does that.
Okay.
So this is opening it up to anybody who would like to opt in, much like the special hauls right now. If someone were to call and had a special haul for 4 cubic yards, they're going to pay $25 to have that hauled off. This instead will be that they're opting in to this program. I would like to say as well, I've had some conversations in that hopefully there are other ways that either through Rural Action or HRC, can look at some possible subsidies for this program as it moves forward to help bring this cost down. I think that by council acting on this would really be helpful to encourage people to use this as a way to reduce what is going in the landfill. This came up, I know, and President Nisley, thank you for filling in my stead when I was away on Monday. But, for us to be able to divert wet trash, biomass from the landfill, I think is vitally important to us as a community, to our region, to future generations, as we're looking at ways to offset what is just continually piling up. And I would contend creating more methane gas in that form than what we would see, with a good solid composting program that is currently underway with the Athens Hocking Recycling Center. It's a long answer to your question, but I wanted to get that out because this is something, if council remembers, that when I first took office, started exploring with Rural Action, with Arian Sykes and Andrew Rainey to sit and figure out how can we do this. And some of the modeling that was looked at with this was also start exploring kind of an enhancement of what we already have as a pay-to-throw program, because you're paying per bag of trash and maybe continuing to do something with that's a little bit more robust with a pay-to-throw, which again would get people behaviorally to start really thinking about what you're throwing into the landfill as opposed to what can be diverted and repurposed into something that people can use to amend their gardens, their flower beds, whatever. So this would open this program up, Councilmember Fall, to everyone.
Right. I just, one of the things that is concerning is that when people get their $20 check, $20 bill, is that a whole lot of people are going, whoa, I didn't know that, and then we'll have a cascading fail sort of thing. And so, but I would like, to make sure that people know that it will be going down pretty much from day one, because more people will be opting in.
I'm a firm believer that if there were more people to start entering into this program above and beyond the existing 299, that the costs will continue to come down. At least that's what I'm being told by Bruce Underwood of HRC. And I get it. I mean, if you have more people using this program, it is helping to offset the costs of going around and collecting it as well as processing it. Andrea and Bruce are here today. I don't know if...
So what I would like to do is our usual order. This is a motion for reading, and what we need to do to move it forward today is make a motion to suspend, move on that, and then a motion to approve, and then we'll have further discussion. And yes, we would welcome your comments at that time. So why don't we get that procedurally, that business taken care of?
Move to suspend the rules.
Okay, one of you moved in second, okay, for suspending. Okay, we have a motion and second for suspending the rules. The purpose being that the reason for suspending is that this ordinance needs to be in place because the pilot program expires on June 30th, 2019. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The rules have been suspended. Councilmember Grace, we'll let you go.
Thank you. I wanted to comment that I also have only received comments from members of the community who really wish to see the composting program continued, and spoke with someone today who reached out to me specifically to say, what is council going to do about composting? And when I discussed with her this cost, that I was, I believe we're working to continue this but it would be a special haul cost. She said, well, prior to this, she was going to the farmer's market, paying a monthly fee, and while that fee was lower than $20.65, she said by the time she factors in driving back and forth, the gas, needing to go to the market, even if it didn't necessarily work in her schedule in order to get rid of the compost, and putting it in her car, she's like, I'm happy to be able to just take it from my garage to the curb, have it picked up. And she said, that she would really dread the program ending, because she's like, then what am I going to do with all this waste? And once we become aware of how much it is, the weight, the volume of what we're able to compost, I completely agree. It's like you think, well, how could I possibly be putting this in the trash? But yet many are not prepared to compost themselves. And so I just wanted to also state I've received a lot of positive comments, and also people saying, yes, I am willing to pay to participate, and would like to really see this expanded to citywide to encourage more people to participate.
Okay, so, and now do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for approval. And do we have any additional comments from council members? Councilmember Fall.
If this goes through, and it starts out at $20.65, and say 3 months from now we have 400 people, we're going to have to revisit this ordinance to amend it.
Absolutely.
So I just want to make sure, and maybe we might want to put in our magic calendar a date certain that we look at it and see whether we want to do it then or so.
Okay. Councilmember McGee.
Thank you, and I wanted to thank Ms. Rainey in particular for showing up and explaining her position on this. I have been an outspoken critic of the composting program. And I've done so because I realize that composting is quite simple. And most people just don't know how to do it, or are, for some reason, perhaps frightened of all that yicky stuff being so close to their kitchen or whatever. I received many emails from people supporting the composting program, and I responded to those emails and asked if anyone had ever done composting, actually knew how to do it, and nobody had done it who was in the program. Nobody said that they knew how to do it. Okay, so I've emphasized all along that I hope you will really structure some educational aspects to this. I think it's crucial, especially with the schools, to show the children in the schools and the families that this material goes back to the earth, and it's not just something we stick in a bucket and is carted off and dealt with somewhere else, because I think that's the problem with our system as it is. What we need to realize that that's a product that goes into the earth, and it can go in our backyard, and it makes wonderful earth, wonderful dirt. It can grow great vegetables, flowers, whatever. So again, I would emphasize that I'm not a supporter of transporting this compost. I hope the program works for those people who are willing to pay up to this amount of money. I've expressed a real concern for the citizens of Athens who are on tight incomes, whether it be a minimum wage or less, or retired or whatever. I really am concerned with the increased costs for people to live in Athens. So I think this is a good compromise, and I applaud you all for where we're at right now. Thank you.
Any other? Did you want? Councilmember Casas.
Yes, thank you. And I was thinking about recycling and how 20, 30, 40 years ago, we were at the same conversation. So my guess is in 10 or 15 years, this is probably going to be very common, and that this is going to be just another removal of the waste stream, so that we can work down, our overall mass and volume that every household produces. So, I think it's a challenge. In order to do this, I think that we did well in doing the pilot program for as long as we did, and then extending it for an additional 6 months. But I'm ready for this. I think I'm comfortable with this proposal.
Okay. Any other comments from council members? And Andrea or Bruce, did either one of you want to make any comments, or here?
Good afternoon. I'm Bruce Underwood, Athens Hawking Recycling Center Director. I first like to thank both the administration and council for really working on this issue to keep compost going. We have a lot of work to do ahead of us to try to find some other subsidies to keep it going while we build up participation citywide, and we want to work. I'm eager to work with the city and Rural Action to make that happen. I really do, as the mayor said. We certainly can bring down the cost the more people that are in it. And I'll personally work with the administration to look at those benchmarks, when we're looking at it, month to month or whatever the case is, and set some of those benchmarks that we say if X amount of people are in, it lowers the cost this much, and so on and so forth. So I look forward to that. I really hope we can use this opportunity to keep going forward to march toward that bigger system and bring the cost down even more, because it is very important when we talk about climate change. And to Mr. McGee's Councilman McGee's comments about putting it back on the earth and educating people, that is certainly a component of it. I want to work on all those issues, so I appreciate your work on this. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you. All right. We have a motion and second. Oh, yes, Andrea, come up, please.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot of new information to add, but I definitely want to thank all of you for coming here at 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon, having this very special party about compost together. And I want to, emphasize Councilmember Fall's concerns about the cost. And, I was initially concerned that the higher cost with the special hall fee would lead to not as many people signing up. I think that might be true, but also I think this is a really good compromise in the meantime to make sure that people still have the option of participating in compost, and also to make sure that, AHRC's operation can remain functioning until, we can figure out what's beyond this sort of stopgap measure. And as the mayor stated, Rural Action is really interested and has already thought about pursuing fundraising opportunities to make sure that that cost can go down for residents and make sure that the cost is not being put on the city or being put on AHRC. So we definitely want to keep talking with council and the administration about that over the next few weeks to come up with a really concrete timeline around where those benchmarks are and how we're working together to achieve that, getting that promotion and education out so that we are, getting more people signed up for the program and engaged in compost. And then the other little thing that I wanted to mention is just making sure that, I think Bruce and I, and especially the utilities billing office, will be working over the next couple weeks to make sure that, people are getting signed up who want to be signed up, and, people aren't going to be, of course, automatically charged the special haul fee, but we'll be working together to, make sure that new people can get signed on in an efficient manner, and current people can remain in the program. So, thank you so much for working together and spending so much time on this issue, and thanks for having us.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, President Isley. Thank you, Ms. Rainey, for acknowledging Rural Action's efforts as well and the potential to help bring costs down. We hear it at the state level from the governor, the importance of partnerships. We hear it at the university. President Nellis has acknowledged that. I think we're really good at collaborating and partnering, so thank you for acknowledging that.
Okay. All right. We have the motion and second for approval, so I think we're ready. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries and the ordinance is approved. Ordinance 7419 is an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to execute a lease with the First Presbyterian Church of Athens, Incorporated, of Athens, Ohio, for the rental of in-lots 15 and 17 in the city of Athens. And this is introduced by Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for 7419.
Second.
The reason for suspension is that this ordinance has to be passed no later than July 28th, and since the council will be on recess, we need to do it now.
Okay. We have a motion and second for suspending the rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The rules have been suspended. Councilmember Reisner.
Thank you, Madam President. I make a motion that we adopt 7419.
Second.
Allow me to read the pertinent section before we vote. The Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to execute a 3-year lease agreement with the First Presbyterian Church of Athens, Incorporated, for the rental of in-lots 15 and 17 in the city of Athens, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, the Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to expend up to $49,442 for year 1, $50,043 for year 2, $51,440 for year 3 from General Fund 101718, Transaction Code 300 for said lease.
Okay. And basically, this allows us to park our cruisers in the lot adjacent to their offices, and then gives us also those other metered spaces, I believe, and monthly parking spaces that we can then recoup some of the costs that we have for allowing the parking, the police to be able to park and have their vehicles quickly accessible. Mayor Patterson.
I just want to give a big thank you to Service Safety Director Andy Stone for being able to negotiate on these particular terms, because what was being asked for was higher than this, and we were able to find a great compromise for this in terms of the rates. And yes, you're correct that we will lease some of those spaces out, as well as making sure that we have highly accessible parking for our cruisers.
Great. Okay. So we have a motion and second. Oh, yeah. Additional comments. Yes. Councilmember McGee.
I actually had a question. I was trying to figure out how many spaces are involved, and I know the cruisers would occupy probably maybe 7 spaces at any one time. Is that about right? I'm a
Councilmember
little.
McGee, I don't remember off the top of my head exactly how many spaces there are. I mean, it's significant. In the cruisers, I think you're right. I think it's 7 or 8 of those spaces that are occupied by our police cruisers.
But the intent of the administration is actually to rent the spaces out so as to actually recoup a lot of the lease
We
money
do.
that's going to be paid
We
out?
do that already.
We do? Okay. Okay. I was a little concerned simply because I am aware of an instance where certain vehicles belonging to police officers who were parked in that area had been vandalized, and I have a bit of a question as to whether that's a good place for them to be parking their private vehicles. But I'm more, I'm not more concerned, but I'm pleased that the city is at least recouping some of the costs, and I'm sure the officers would consider whether they want to keep parking there. So, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries and the ordinance is approved. We now have announcements and other business. We do have the reappointments to the Affordable Housing Commission. I believe Councilmember Grace has those.
Yes, thank you very much, President Isley. First of all, I'd like to thank all the members serving on the Affordable Housing Commission. We've been doing a lot of work over the past year. And also nominate Zach Rises and Noah Tremblay to second terms to serve on this commission as their terms are expiring.
Okay. So we have a motion for their approval and a second. Okay. All right. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's unanimous. And thank them on behalf of all of us.
I will.
That's great.
I'll see them on Monday.
This will be our last session, I believe, before our July recess. And thank everybody for coming in at a special hour today, and appreciate being able to take care of this business. And we'll be back for our first council meeting the first Monday night in August. So if we could have a motion for adjourning.
Second.
Okay, motion and second for adjourning. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.